Before we get started, let's get into this disclaimer. YouTube does allow certain kinds of violent or graphic content for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purposes. It is not a pass, though, to upload content meant to shock or disgust or encourage others to commit violent acts. They do not make exceptions for certain kinds of content, like footage of physical sexual assault. For educational content containing the kinds of violent or graphic content as noted above, this context must appear in the images or audio of the video itself. Providing it in a title is not enough. With that being said, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are getting ready to discuss some very sad news about two Black men, another one from Mississippi. If you already know, we are signing a petition and still working to get justice for Jalen Lewis. Okay, he was in Mississippi when he was executed. He was shot in the head by the Mississippi police. They still have not got with the family and given them an explanation. Okay, September 25th, around 9 p.m. at East Mays in Jackson, Mississippi, 25-year-old Jalen was shot in the head by a member of Mississippi's Capitol Police Force. Okay, the family still doesn't know why he was even stopped. Okay, they have not been given any explanation. So the petition is here. It will be linked. We're not going to talk about his story today, but the petition will be linked. But another one in Mississippi has been killed. Mississippi, if you're in Mississippi, we move. Okay, be very careful. So we're going to talk about these two young men here. Okay, this is KHALIL Azad. You probably know him, and he is not the one from Mississippi. The one from Mississippi is Rasheem Carter. Okay, these men are loved by their family. They are not throwaways. They are not just your common run-of-the-mill men out here terrorizing the streets. They family are like, no, we need answers and we want them now. So let's get into their stories, okay? So we'll start with KHALIL. Now, I need to warn you, KHALIL's pictures of his autopsy will be shown. They are graphic as Emmett Till's. And Emmett Till's may not even have been that graphic, but they were in black and white. These pictures are not in black and white. I encourage you to look away or look down at your laptop. The reason why the family put his autopsy pictures out there wasn't to put their son on display. It was to show the gravity of what happened to their son and why they know in their heart that the police attacked their son, and he just did not drown. Okay, the cops are saying that he drowned. He was a avid swimmer, and he did not just drown in 2 feet or 2 inches or something like that of water. And he was like 6 feet tall. Okay, so I'll play the article, understand what happened to him. Death of KHALIL Azad. Students join family members in protest questioning police narrative.
Students walking out of class today protesting the death of KHALIL Azad. The 24-year-old was found dead in Crystal Lake back in July after being chased by law enforcement. Azad's family says he was bitten by dogs and brutally beaten to death by the Robbinsdale Police Department. But according to the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office, Azad's drowning was determined to be accidental. Today, students and activists say that there needs to be transparency in this case.
KHALIL's life matters. This family deserves the truth. They've been pleading for the truth since July of last year. Why were they just now able to see a video that pauses?
BLM Minnesota is also demanding all body cam footage be released in this case. The case was recently handed off to the BCA for an independent review.
Could soon learn more about what led to the death of a man whose family says was caused by police.
In the next day or two, we are expected to see video footage of a man's interaction with Robbinsdale police that is under scrutiny. Bill Keller is live. He's in Robbinsdale with the very latest. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. In fact, at the center of this case is the death of KHALIL Azad. The 24-year-old died last summer, but the case now getting a fresh look while his family questions the official cause of death. Now, KHALIL Azad was stopped by Robbinsdale police last July. 2 days later, he was found dead in the shoreline near Crystal Lake. Police claim that Azad, who was being stopped for suspicion of drunk driving, fled the scene. He ran from that traffic stop, and their officers, they say, had no further interaction after they looked for him. But Azad's family is pointing to autopsy photos that they believe show dog bites, along with other injuries that they believe were caused by police. On Monday, hundreds of students and activists, well, they joined the family in questioning law enforcement's account of what happened, calling for more transparency and accountability.
We all know, looking at those pictures, there's something that needs to be done, and it shouldn't keep happening.
Now, Black Lives Matter Minnesota also demanding that all the body cam footage be released. That is something that the police are preparing for. According to the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office, Azad's drowning was determined accidental. Again, Robbinsdale police have asked the BCA to do their own independent investigation.
So there is body cam footage. It is about an hour long, the one that I saw. None of it shows him in the video, but they claim he jumped out of the car and ran. So did y'all edit the video? Where is he? And how did he come up in the area where you guys were in some water? Okay. So the family, they're not going to let that slide. Okay. The pictures are about to come up. Again, brace yourself for these pictures. They're not, they're very graphic. Okay. Again, we've seen Emmett Till's pictures, but seeing the pictures kind of put in perspective as to why the family know in their heart, and looking at him, I'm no forensic expert, but it doesn't look like he just ran away, tripped, hit a rock, and fell over in some water, right? Then he can swim. The family says he's an avid swimmer. You'll hear them say that in the next video. So let me play the disclaimer, just like 1 second. Before we get started, let's get into this disclaimer. YouTube does allow certain kinds of violent or graphic content for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purposes. It is not a pass, though, to upload content meant to shock or disgust or encourage others to commit violent acts. They do not make exceptions for certain kinds of content like footage of physical sexual assault. For educational content containing the kinds of violent or graphic content as noted above, this context must appear in the images or audio of the video itself. Providing it in a title is not enough. With that being said, we are going to do a reaction video. It's educational and it is under fair use in the copyright laws. Okay, so sit back. Again, I would urge you to look away and come back. I'm not going to leave the pictures up there for very long. I'm going to scroll through them so you can see the pictures. Okay, and I put my watermark over it a little bit to kind of, it still doesn't. So family says law enforcement beat man to death. Okay, the family of, this is from February 25th, 23. Okay, the family of KHALIL Azad says he was bitten by dogs and brutally beaten by the Robbinsdale Police Department. According to the family, a representative who is a Minnesota educator, KHALIL was driving when he was pulled over. Then KHALIL fled on foot toward a lake when he was pursued by the cops. What you're about to see next is how they discovered his body. And as I stated, it does put you in the mind of Emmett Till. Okay. The family is stating that these punctures are from bite marks, that he was beaten. Okay. This incident reminds Black Lives Matters of Minnesota activists of Emmett Till, Rodney King, and Tyree Nichols, and many others who have been tortured by the police in the U.S. The Black Lives Matter Minnesota is demanding any body cam or surveillance footage of the incident be released to the family and public immediately, which they did show. However, okay, it did not show him in the video.
Who met up with the canine officer. He says from here, his own home, he walked from here all the way down to the boardwalk and stopped his search. Well, how long is that going to take you? 2-3 minutes? Yes. And then he said, oh, well, we have, they said he had a gun. They always say they have a gun. Right. And so he did all this right here. So from here to here, that was the search and they decided to stop. And they were here for more than an hour after that.
So why did no one continue down that way?
And so if you see what we're talking about, there's a park there. So you can see, if you went to the park and you went to the north there, you can see the whole lake. Mm-hmm. See what we're saying here? Yeah, we can see the whole lake there. So if they had set up a perimeter, well, Khalil's stuck in there. He's in the woods. So whenever the dogs got here, because I don't believe there's work, whenever the dogs got here,
they would have chased them down.
They chased them down and the dogs got here. But you can see if there's a helicopter overhead, the people, are you going to hide in the open backyard or are you going to hide right over there?
So we're at Crystal Lake.
Yep.
This is
We're
in Robbinsdale. We're at Crystal Lake where Khalil
body was found. If you go right over there, north of the boardwalk, in 10 to 15 feet off from shore, Officer Kipka, that's where he stopped the search with the canine.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like right there. So if he was left, that's where Khalil's body was found.
And they're trying to say it was an accidental drowning.
Correct.
But we know from looking at the autopsy, looking at the pictures,
the photos don't match the recovery photos don't match an accidental drowning, and the autopsy photos don't match an accidental drowning.
The photos don't match an accidental drowning, and
the recovery and the autopsy and recovery photos. Both of them say that there were no injuries or trauma to Khalil, and there's clearly injury and trauma to Khalil. Nothing could have done that in Crystal Lake, 2.5 feet underwater.
Exactly.
No panfish could have done that. Sunfish didn't do that.
A turtle, sunfish, there's nothing in Crystal Lake that could have put those type of injuries on his face, on his back, on his body.
Force equals mass times acceleration.
And then impossible. They said the autopsy report said that there were no trauma.
No injuries.
No injuries to his
trauma.
Body.
And then they falsified like a superficial laceration over his right eye. It's an inch long. It goes down to the bone. That's not a scratch. So right there, they lied.
Right. So we're here. This is Crystal Lake. We're in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. This is where his body was found by
someone walking along the boardwalk. And then several agencies were involved in taking up. Hennepin County Shore Patrol. They had a medical examiner there. The Robbinsdale Police.
Hennepin County Shore Patrol, Robbinsdale Police.
And there was a medical examiner.
And a medical examiner were here. They said he drowned in this lake, but where he was found, it was only
2.5 feet deep.
2.5 feet deep. He's
over 6 feet and a proficient swimmer.
A professional swimmer. Proficient professional swimmer. So we're going to be out here demanding justice for Khalil. We want an independent investigation into the death of Khalil Azad immediately. The mayor said, what did the mayor say?
The mayor said that he would follow the evidence to wherever it may lead. So show him the evidence, show him the pictures. And then he would call for an outside investigation.
So we're calling on the mayor of Robbinsdale to call for an outside investigation into Khalil's death.
At a loss for words. I don't want to become numb to this. like, here's another one. Because you shouldn't be numb to police killing our black men and covering it up, killing black people and covering it up, right? So that was just very heartbreaking. But the family wanted the autopsy pictures out there because they wanted people to see it doesn't match. You said it was no trauma to the body. We saw trauma to the body. Okay. So spread the word. If you haven't heard about it, spread the word about it. Bring some light to the situation. Even share a story about it on your community tab on YouTube. Share it on your Facebook, social media. If you don't want to share my video, still Google an article and share it. How I actually found out about this was through the plaintiff's Jane. She did a wonderful video. And I said, you know, when I was sick over the weekend, couple of days ago, I'm still kind of under the weather. I said, let me make sure I get up and bring some awareness to this as well. As I can talk about all the other stuff, I want to talk about this, okay? So let's get into Rasheem Carter. Look at that smile. A black man was found dead after he told his mother he was being chased. Police said there's no reason to suspect foul play. Rasheem Carter's mother said that before he disappeared last October, he called in a panic to say white men were chasing him in trucks and hurling racial slurs. Does that not sound familiar? The family of a black man who was found dead in Mississippi, okay, after he warned his mother that he was being chased by white men hurling racial slurs, demanded a federal investigation on Monday after local authorities said they had no reason to suspect foul play in the man's death. Rasheem Carter, 25, was reported missing October 2nd after his mother said he sought help from the police and frantically called her to say white men were in 3 trucks pursuing him. That was the last day Carter's family heard from him. On November 2nd, authorities said they found his remains in a wooded area of Taylorsville, Mississippi. In the statement on Facebook, the Smith County Sheriff Department said it had no reason to believe foul play was involved, though the case was under investigation. On Monday, Carter's loved ones and their attorney, Ben Crump, which will play a video, slammed local authorities for stonewalling them for more than 4 months. That sounds like Jalen Lewis. It's been about 4 to 5 months now. And for the initial determination, saying they believe Carter was a victim of a brutal hate crime. This was a nefarious act. This was an evil act, Crump said at a news conference. Somebody murdered Rasheem Carter, and we will not let them get away. Crump urged the Justice Department to take over the investigation of the civil rights case. He revealed photos of Carter's skeletal remains, including his skull and some vertebrae. This was not a natural death, said Crump. This represents a young man who was killed. Crump told reporters that he believed Carter's head was severed from his body and his spinal cord was found in another location away from his head. There's nothing natural about this. It screams out justice. It screams out for justice. What we have is a Mississippi lynching. Also, Carter's front teeth were missing from the top and bottom rows, which Carter's family said could indicate that he was assaulted before he died. Okay. Phone records were pulled and may have interviewed some of Carter's co-workers, but they didn't want to elaborate. They have not given the family anything except what they told Jalen Lewis's mom. The investigation is open and ongoing. 3 members of Carter's family said authorities told them that wild animals may have tore his body apart. He was in so many different pieces, said Yokina Anderson, a cousin to Carter's mother, Tiffany Carter. They wanted to tell us that he went there, fell dead, and animals were feeding on him. But Carter's mother said that her son was lucid about the threats he faced during their final phone call, and he was not under the influence of drugs and or alcohol and has no history of mental illness. She had her doubts about her son's death being an accident even before she saw where his remains were found. She said, when I went to the scene, the Holy Spirit hit me and said, this is foul play, and I knew something had to be done. Her son was a welder in Fayette, Mississippi, in Taylorsville, about 100 miles from his home, working a short-term contracting gig. His mother said he was saving money to reopen his seafood restaurant, which had closed during the pandemic, which was named after his 7-year-old daughter, Callie. That was his goal, and that is why he went back to work. But while he was at the job site in October, Carter had a disagreement with at least one co-worker and fled, fearing for his life. He said, I got all these men trying to kill me. Carter's mother recalled him saying she advised Carter to go to the nearest police station for help, but eventually lost contact with him. Carter's family and friends led their own search parties until his remains were discovered. I never imagined going on living without my child, Tiffany Carter stated. When I lost my son, I lost a part of me. Carter's loved one said he worked hard to provide for his daughter, paid for her private school tuition, and made his friends and family proud. He kept all of his promises, Callie's mother, Justice White, stated. He called every day. He stayed on the phone for hours like teenagers. Every day he brings her up. Tiffany Carter has pledged to continue fighting for answers. They thought this was going to be a child that no one cared about. They were clearly mistaken because he is somebody. I couldn't imagine knowing that my child was found in pieces.
This case has been getting more and more attention in the past few months, and now the family has brought in a national prominent attorney to help them get justice. Rasheem Carter's body was found in Taylorsville in Smith County 1 month after he went missing on October 1st of last year. His family gathered at the federal courthouse Monday afternoon along with National Civil Rights Attorney Benjamin Crump. Crump wants the Department Civil Rights Division to investigate what he believes was a, quote, lynch mob of white people who chased down the 25-year-old father and murdered him. Carter's mom read a text message she says she got from her son one day before he disappeared.
He said, me and the owner of this company not seeing eye to eye, mama. His name, which I can't say at this time, but if anything happened to me, he's responsible for it. I'm too smart, mama. He got these guys wanting to kill me.
He was being chased by 3 trucks, loads of people who were chasing him. He went to the police. They should have tried to track down who were in those trucks.
Crump says Carter's family was given his head and spinal cord in a box from the state crime lab after the autopsy, and Crump says Carter's head was severed from his body. Now, the Smith County Sheriff has said if there is any evidence of foul play in Carter's death, he wants those people brought to justice. Crump says he wrote a letter to the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division just today asking for authorities to come in and take a close look at this case. For now, we're live at the federal courthouse in downtown Jackson. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
It makes you wonder, how are you seeing if there's foul play? Let me play this next video.
For your patience, obviously travel delays today. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Carlos Moore, a great lawyer who hails here from the state of Mississippi, and with Attorney Chris O'Neill we have the honor of fighting for justice for the family of Rasheem Carter. We have present here with us that a lot of family members, a lot of supporters from her hometown who came all the way to Jackson, Mississippi, to the state capitol because they believe they're trying to sweep the killing of her child, her baby, under the rug. And so we have the president of the Mississippi NWSB chapter of Jefferson County present here with us, President Ricky McDonough, who's also going to address you. But first, we're going to talk about what we have discovered thus far. Then Attorney Carlos Moore is going to talk to you about things that he feels is very important here in Mississippi for us to not let them get away with. And then you're going to hear from his mother, Tiffany Carter, whose heart is broken, but yet she's still fighting to make sure that we catch these murderers. One thing is for certain, as Attorney O'Neill and I talked with my investigator, Arthur Reed, this was not a natural killing. This was not a natural death. This represents a young man who was killed. His head was severed from his body. His vertebrae, his spinal cord, was in another spot they discovered away from his severed head. They have recently found remains that they believe are also Rasheem Carter at another part of where he went missing. And what that tells us is that this was a nefarious act. This was an evil act. Somebody murdered Rasheem Carter. And we cannot let them get away with this. I mean, when you look at these pictures taken at the autopsy, it tells you that there's nothing natural about this. It screams out for justice. And his mother, Tiffany Carter, had the courage to say, Attorney Crump, Attorney Moore, y'all show it all. Show it all so people know what they did to my baby. Somebody seen what happened to Rasheem. Somebody seen what happened to Rasheem. And we have to keep the pressure on until we get to the truth. And so today, we're calling for the Department of Justice to open an investigation as to what happened to Rasheem Carter. Somebody seen what happened to Rasheem. And it doesn't make any sense at all, because the text message that his mother got before he went missing is a part of the clue to solving this murder. And it has to be investigated. Do you want to read it, Tiffany? You have to say the name.
Okay.
And what?
This was on October the 1st. My son texted me. This was after him and I had gotten off the phone. He said, me and the owner of this company not seeing eye to eye, Mama. His name, which I can't say at this time, but if anything happened to me, he's responsible for it. I'm too smart, Mama. He got these guys wanting to kill me. And that's what he sent to me.
And then he went missing. And then his remains were found with his head dismembered from his body, his spinal cord separated from his head, and his other body parts are still missing. Tiffany deserves answers. This community deserves answers.
I just wanted to make sure that I discussed them, brought them to my platform, put the information out there. And if it's a lesson that I want to take away from the last story of Rasheem, make sure that we encourage our children to do what he did. Text us, reach out to us. Preferably if they can text, because that's like them sending it proof. Words, yes, we hear them, but to see it in print, if they can text, Mom, I'm in trouble. Make sure and we know our kids is grown, they don't like to be tracked. Location on their phone. Yes, the phone can be destroyed and the location can be removed, or you at least have the last spot they was in. But he said names. She haven't named the guys he stated, but she said that he named the guys that were following him. I pray that both these families, I pray all families who are going through something tragic like this get justice, and they don't have to wait for it. Again, those two cases, Jalen and Rashid, they both in Mississippi. It's like Mississippi got a free for all. They kill you, and the coroner like, oh, it was an accident. I'm very afraid for my Mississippi brothers, for my Mississippi sisters. They really seem to want to take y'all out with no regard. So just be careful to the best of your ability, because I know it sucks when people say be careful. We know you being careful. We know that you're trying everything you can to come out of this. Just know that our thoughts is with the family. So let me know down in the comments if you've heard of this story. If it's your first time hearing of it, be sure to share it out. Again, I thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I don't really have any more words to say, but yeah, I wanted to share this with y'all if you hadn't heard from it. As you see, this is pre-recorded. I wasn't feeling too good, and I was going to go live, but I really wasn't up to the engagement. And I like to engage with y'all, but I'm not feeling my best. But I still wanted to talk to y'all about this. So, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.